It's a problem for all of us. I've been reading the Hungarian press and they talk about the forint being in free fall.
Eljöttünk megkérdezni a turistákat, hogy mit gondolnak az inflációról. A gyengülő forint befolyásolta azt a döntésüket, hogy Magyarországra jöttek.
Right now it's 400, almost exactly.
The exact rate today, I believe, is 460 forints to the pound sterling.
I checked yesterday morning, it was 405 and something.
No, it was not a consideration to go here for the inflation or anything. It was not a goal or to travel cheap. But I do notice, and people tell me when I'm on walking tours, and people, the guides tell me, yeah, it's really bad, and I'd rather have you tip me in euros rather than in florins. So yeah, because of other people, of Hungarian people, they tell me, yeah.
Honestly, I've been throughout Europe, so this is my third stop actually, and I have 2 more stops to go. So we have been planning this for years, so this is not something that came up spontaneously. So we saved up the money and we knew what we were going to utilize here. I would have hoped that the money would have gone farther, but it definitely isn't. It's definitely a little bit less than what we expected to spend, you know, because of the inflation and because of the prices of everything that has gone up substantially.
Obviously, the exchange rates are favourable, but there are other reasons. I've been coming to this part of the world since the 1970s. And it's been fascinating to see how it's changed.
Yeah, like I'm still a student, so it's every price which is less matters, yeah.
It's a problem for all of us. I've been reading the Hungarian press and they talk about the forint being in free fall. I recall because I come here most years, it doesn't seem to be significantly different from how it has been in the past. But I'm not paying fuel bills here, for example. I pay my fuel bills in England and I'm expecting them to be a lot worse this winter than they were last winter. And I fear the same is going to be true for all of you, especially as you're heavily reliant upon Russian natural gas and oil.
Yeah, and the inflation is really high. It's also much higher, actually, I believe, than what people suggest. So they suggest, in my own country, they say like 10%. I know it's more because I notice it in my rent, I notice it in my grocery shopping, and it's really high.
So for example, right now you have to pay for a ball of ice about 2 euros, which is then 800 forint. And I don't know, let's say 5 years back it was 1 euro.
When I came to Hungary, I was receiving 40,000 Hungarian forint as a scholarship, and it was more or less enough for a student. Like if you eat pasta and chicken almost every day, every week, it is enough. But right now I think it's not even enough for pasta and chicken. I think the prices have skyrocketed, and it's understandable when 1 euro is 400 something instead of 300 something, but I think at the same time the scholarship of the students, the salaries of the employees, in general the received money has to increase adequately, but unfortunately it's not. So it's affecting me, it's affecting my friendship network, and even more the students who study in Hungary.
The prices have skyrocketed within, I want to say, the past couple of years, but more so the last 9 months. We've really felt the effects of the economy and what's going on with the world now.
The war happening in Europe right now between Russia and Ukraine. Secondly, the global value losing of euro against USD. Thirdly, can be the internal politics of Hungary, like some decisions, of course, affect the rate as well. So we can Google and find more reasons for sure, but I think these three are the top affecting ones.
Definitely the war that's going on is one of the main factors. COVID didn't help very much either. Gas prices, food prices, all that affects, the import and export that's going in and out of the United States definitely affects what's going on. So there's a lot of issues going on that we're fighting, so I think that's the main cause of the inflation.
I think it's the printing in the United States, what happened, what the Federal Reserve did. The reason for that was, of course, COVID, closing down economies. For them to fix this, in their eyes, was printing all these dollars. That's, for me, as far as I'm aware, what I believe is the main cause for all this inflation in the rest of the world too.
Actually, I have no idea. I guess it has something to do with the war and rising prices of, gas and stuff. Maybe that's a blowout thing, that it will explode someday.
Certainly in England there's been a degree of financial mismanagement on the part of the government, and I suspect that's possibly true throughout the world, in many countries. COVID has been obviously an enormous expense. It has to be paid for. The measures we took because of COVID cost money. It has to be paid for. It's been paid for by printing money. That causes inflation. That's quite clear. The problems we have in Ukraine and with Russia, that they are separate, but obviously very closely related, only exacerbate that. And there is no end in sight, sadly, to that. And therefore there's going to be a growing lack of confidence in the financial markets, because those markets can't see much scope for inflation being knocked on the head or investments being secure.
Feltétlenül iratkozzon fel a Klasszis YouTube csatornára. Ha szeretne több ilyen videót és podcastot, legyen ön is klubtag. Fizessen elő a Klasszis lapcsoport, a Privátbankár, az M4, a Piac és Profit prémium tartalmaira, vagy legyen támogatónk klasszis.hu.